Part 1, Question 2, Article 2, whether it can be demonstrated that God exists. The truths of mathematics are real and true and can be proven or demonstrated. Other things are true and real, but cannot be demonstrated. An example would be whether your wife or husband loves you. You can know it's true, but you can't exactly prove it's true. You can't really prove somebody's internal mental state, even if you know that it's true. So, are the proofs of God's existence like that? Well, Thomas says no, and for an authority, he cites St. Paul. The invisible things of him are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. We can know that God exists. We can know it by the world he made. Objection 1. But doesn't that deny the necessity of faith? If reason is sufficient to know God exists, then it would seem that we don't need faith. Objection 2. Think about this sentence. I know God exists. Now, stop one word before the end. I know God. But that's impossible. You cannot comprehend God, and therefore you don't have the right to say anything about him, not even that he exists. You know God. Who are you to say that? Objection 3. You just think you know him because of his works, but here's the problem. God's works, the universe, is finite. God is infinite. You cannot bridge that gap. Even reason cannot bridge from the finite to the infinite. Thomas disagrees and draws a distinction between two different types of demonstrations. One looks at causes, that is, prior absolutely or a priori. The other is a posteriori, meaning we start with effects. And Thomas claims that when it comes to God's existence, the a posteriori proofs are more appropriate. God's existence can be demonstrated. That doesn't mean we can turn God into a mathematical equation or know everything about him, but we can demonstrate his existence from the world he created. The existence of God, therefore, is not an article of faith. It is a preamble or a prerequisite for faith. Faith, which is a grace, remember, perfects and transcends nature and also heals nature if you happen to not be able to reason your way to God's existence. And Thomas agrees that we cannot comprehend God's essence, but we can address God with prayer. We can address God with names such as powerful, wise, merciful, long-suffering, glorious, names that he has shown us are appropriate, are his attributes. These terms describe God's effect on us. They are not meant to be exhaustive definitions. No one pretends that they are, or we shouldn't pretend that they are, which addresses the third objection as well. The question is whether or not it is possible to demonstrate the existence of God, not whether we can define his exact essence. God is a father, not a mathematical equation. And that is a common argument from lazy agnostics. They admit that God is beyond their understanding, and then they say, well, how can I possibly know anything if I can't know everything? Well, that's easy. Get in your car or turn on your computer. You can know that they work even if you don't know everything about how they work. Thomas is once again staking out a middle path. The existence of effects gives solid true proof for the existence of causes, not perfect knowledge of those causes. In the previous article, Thomas showed that the existence of God was not self-evident. Still, it can be demonstrated, and from this article we know exactly what kind of proof to expect for Thomas's famous 5 proofs of God's existence, which is coming next. An a posteriori, some call it a cosmological proof, one that starts with the world God created.